Want to give a shout out to my girl Jemisin. Good vibes for eternity. Peace out. Hello, my pretty people. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. As you know, I have been reading the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and I am done. Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. Okay, so let's see what I think about it. Now, the last book is The Stone Sky. Check out my video of the previous 2 books. I will link them below. So The Stone Sky starts where the obelisk gate ended. So Castrema community has been attacked and destroyed. So you have Jemisin and the whole rest of Castrema are wandering the earth looking for another place to lay their itty bitty heads. And along the way they face all these hardships in surviving, including like defending themselves, not starving, and redefine their calm. And Jemisin has now killed Jiha, that's the dad, and that puts her community of all these young Origins and Shafa in danger. So they have to make a decision regarding their survival. And then of course there's this whole lasso the moon situation to put the moon back into orbit. I think as far as with The Stone Sky, I thought it was somewhat predictable conclusion to this series. I thought it was very sad and adventurous and just extremely technical. I was really lost in all that tech and magic that I found myself just kind of skipping through pages and paragraphs at times. And I have said this in my other reviews, so this is not something new, that I'm not necessarily invested in the earth magic of the Origins, and also that whole silver thing was not for me. So while I think overall in all of these books that I think the magic is unique and I can appreciate it, it just did not hold my interest as much as I thought it would. But as far as with The Stone Sky, I keep skipping between these books. But you learn so much more about like the Stone Eaters, all the origins of the Origins, and the origins of the whole moon out of orbit situation, which was pretty interesting. I will say that I was just shocked at the explanation and the backstory. Now, I won't spoil it for you, but it did make me want to just throw this book away, I will say. Now, I've said this before. I am invested in these characters and I enjoyed all the information about them, even all the newer ones. I just think that everyone had just so much trauma in this series and no one came out unscathed. I mean, I felt for each and every one of them. I mean, you have all the manipulation, oppression of the Origins, you have the disrespect of the earth, and of course a whole lot of death. I think the suffering and the trauma, you just see that there's no happy ending for everyone because their worlds have been torn apart. I mean, look at the main characters. You have Jemisin, who at such a young age has been forced to kill and experience so much. I feel like she's just such an old kid. And then Jemisin, I mean, her story is just heartbreaking. I mean, she's lost all of her children pretty much and anybody that she's ever really loved. And you have Alabaster, who's gone in such a horrific yet interesting way, I will say. And the earth is a mess. And the concept of home, I think, is just like this temporary location to where, you know, nobody really has a place to lay their head that they can't really feel comfortable about, like, am I going to be here in like a few weeks, you know? And then you have everybody's just surviving by any means necessary, leading to just a bunch of difficult choices. Like one part in the book, in The Stone Sky, that just really got to me was, it was a part where, it's not really a spoiler, but basically they were in the desert and, you know, wandering around. And there was a part where it says, Yuka didn't say anything for the next few miles, but maybe that's just because there is nothing to say. And it goes, if you can just get through the desert, You know the end to this, don't you? How could you be here listening to this tale if you didn't? But sometimes it is the how of a thing, not just the end game, that matters the most. So this is the end game of the nearly 1,100 souls who went into the desert. A little over 850 reached the Imperial Road. For some reason, that just stayed with me. Just really sad when you think about the amount of people and the sacrifice that people had to make in order just to survive during this time period. Just breaks my heart. Overall, like them going through the desert reminded me a lot of when Moses was walking through the desert to get to the promised land. And I feel like that is their situation. But overall, I did like the optimism and the potential new way of people maybe living together in harmony in the end. You know, minus the oppression, you know, time will tell, I guess. But I do think that it sucks that it takes the earth fracturing for so many people dying in order to make that change a possibility. Just very, very relevant in real life. I will say, as far as with that whole second person narrator that I finally got it in my head to where it did not bother me as much, and it was just kind of secondary, because that is definitely a new POV that I'm not as used to reading. But I think it was very fitting and it makes sense. As far as with NKJ's style of writing, definitely something to get used to as well, because it is definitely unique, telling a story from the future, but you know, I'm not mad at it. It's kind of like that roundabout way of saying things that reminds me of classical writing, which, you know, I can't say I'm a big fan of. I do think that there was a lot of subtle comedy, which is nice, because I found myself laughing a whole lot more in this book than I did in the other ones, which is interesting with this being just such a serious story. But I do look forward to seeing more of what N.K. Jemisin has to offer in the next series. I think it's the 100,000 Kingdoms. But I will say that I will not be as patient in sticking around in a series with, you know, key elements like the magic thing that didn't hold my attention. But luckily she has a lot of books that I can, you know, choose from. But I am definitely glad that I read through this 3-book series and I know what the hype is about. So Broken Earth, overall, I do think that it is a really good series with great writing. I just think that the main elements about it was not something that, you know, that I really liked. And if it was not for a buddy read, I don't know that I would have completed all of these books. But I'm glad I did. So there is going to be a live show on April 1st at 8 p.m. EST, that's USA time, on the Curious Owls channel to discuss the Stone Sky and probably just kind of wrap up this whole series anyway. So if you're interested in checking that out, make sure you do so. So let me know what you think about this series, the characters, how it ended, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I appreciate it. So please like and subscribe and comment, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye, y'all.